Hey, welcome back to the Big Grand Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, we all know who this guy is right here, right? That's Donald Trump, winner of the 2016 election. In fact, this picture is from that night, where he grabbed a flag that said LGBT for Trump, claiming he was going to be one of the best presidents to ever happen to the LGBTQ community, and then immediately started attacking us from the get go. One of his first moves as president was to ban trans people from the military. Later in his first year, he tried to make it to where you could be fired, you could continue being fired for being gay, that you could continue not being able to get housing because you're gay. But then he still tried to claim he was great for the LGBTQ community. Then last week he put out a new video. And in this video, he made some of the most vile ideas and put them out for public consumption. He literally said the quiet part out loud, what Republicans want to do, but they're too scared to tell you they're trying to do. And it's absolutely disgusting what he did, or what he suggested. First, he wants to make it to where the federal government only recognizes male and female assigned at birth, no gender after that. So if you happen to be a trans individual, you can't be trans under Donald Trump. He wants to make it to where trans youth can't get trans care they need, whether that be psychological help or physical help going on, further down the road, such as puberty blockers, for example, or seeing a counselor. He wants to tell teachers that they're going to go to prison and go to jail and such if they even suggest to a student that a student might be trans. Not that a teacher would, not that a te- not that the teacher would say, can try to convince the kid. No, just for the mere mention that, hey, if you're having those feelings, you could be trans. How about we set you up with a counselor? Do you feel safe telling your parents this? Can we make a phone call? He wants to prosecute teachers for that. He wants to make it to where trans students and LGBT students can be outed to their parents by teachers under the law, where they are required to tell parents if their student is gay or transgender or whatever. Have you ever thought that maybe there's a reason kids aren't telling their parents that they're transgender or gay or bi or lesbian or queer in general? Have you ever thought that maybe they don't need their parents knowing because their parents are abusive? Have you ever thought that maybe this may be detrimental to their physical and emotional well being if you out them to their parents who, like Donald Trump, believes we should all not exist? And people are going to say, well, no, parents would never hurt. Yes, they would. There have been parents in this country that have gone to prison for murdering their children for less. I have friends of mine that I know whose parents abandoned them when they came out when they were older. Don't think they wouldn't do it to a minor. Because I've heard those horror stories too. So outing LGBTQ students to their parents is morally bankrupt. It is wrong on any level. He wants to prosecute Big Pharma for puberty blockers existing, claiming that there's information showing that they have been hiding the side effects. No, they haven't been. There's been lots of research done recently about puberty blockers and what they can and can't do, and the damage that they might or might not do. But every medication has a side effect. And generally, those side effects are discussed with parents before ever putting their children on these medications. But sometimes things are necessary. Like, for example, Prozac has its side effects that can have negative, long lasting side effects. But sometimes, because of the spot that the kid is in emotionally, sometimes it's necessary. So you can have time to work through the problem through talking. He went on to say that he wants to focus on the nuclear family and teach the values of the nuclear family, and erase the you know the idea of gay and lesbian people from America. He made it clear in his video that he wants to get rid of us all. He made it very clear when he said that he wants to ensure that the differences between men and women stay the same. That the nuclear family was the only way to go. That a mom, a dad, and your 2.5 kids is the only way you can possibly go. This man can never become president of this country again. Because this is just the beginning. I didn't even make it all the way through his video before he disgusted me, and I turned it off. But I've seen even more vile comments he made going further down that video from TikTok creators and stuff like that. This man wants nothing more than to round up all the LGBTQ people in this country and get rid of us. Now, Ron DeSantis is no different. Ron DeSantis wants the same thing. So if you're LGBTQ and you think, oh, well, I'll vote for Ron DeSantis instead, no, don't. The only difference between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump is Ron DeSantis doesn't say the quiet part out loud. Ron DeSantis doesn't come out in public and make it clear that he's a fascist. But Donald Trump is and has always been a fascist. In fact, it was reported by more than one of his previous wives, both of them, that he kept a book of Mein Kampf on his bedside table, and he read it basically every night. If you don't know, Mein Kampf was written by probably the most well-known fascist and Nazi in the entire world, and that was Adolf Hitler. And there are some people out there that don't know that. And I'm not going to hate on you for not. But join me here at the Big Rant Show, and we'll have more discussions about that kind of topic if there are more people that want to know the history of how the Nazis came to be and what they did to 6 million people. And I'm absolutely terrified for myself and other people like me when I hear talk like this. And I hear that bundled with talk of people arming themselves to make sure Trump wins the next election. I can tell you right now, you're not putting any of us back in the bottle. We're out and we're proud and we're not going a damn place. Maybe you don't like gay people. Maybe you don't like trans people. Maybe you think the LGBTQ community, it just shouldn't exist. But you know what? We do, and we're here. And we're not going anywhere. You can try to do to us what the Nazis did to the Jews, and we're not going anywhere. we are still going to be here and we will fight to the end. I will not just stand by and let people take, innocent people and make them out to be criminals simply for getting, the help they need, for getting the medical care they need, for being able to be who they say they are. And to those people out there that are like, well, LGBT youth don't exist, you're full of shit. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that you're dead wrong. Because I was that trans kid in high school, in junior high, in grade school, who felt I had to hide everything, that I couldn't express myself for who I was. I had to play the role I was given. That's how I felt. Not because of my home life, because I don't think my mother would have cared. I think my mother would have loved me no matter what, because my mother's an awesome person. But the place I lived off in the middle of the country, Maybank, Texas. And really at the time in the 90s, it wasn't safe. And before that, I lived in a little town called Maypearl, Texas. Not really safe there either. I knew by the time I was 8 or 9 years old that I liked both men and women. Well, boys and girls at the time, right? Did I have a complete explanation at 8 or 9 why I found boys cute in the same way that I found girls cute? No. But by the time I was 11, I kind of had a clue. Because as things moved on, it made it very clear that physical changes in me made it very clear that I was attracted to both. I have known since I knew probably about 7, 8, that I wasn't a boy because I never felt like a boy. I never wanted to do the things the boys wanted to do, hardly. The most I ever wanted to do was play football and baseball, but I thought girls should be able to play those sports too. But I didn't come out until I was 40. I really feel like I wasted my entire life. And I don't want other kids to have to go through the same thing. So don't tell me that we don't exist at young ages, because we do. I was there. I know exactly what was going on in my head and thoughts I was having. And how I felt like I didn't belong and how I didn't feel like I could live anymore because I wasn't able to be myself. I have physically hated myself since I was 11 years old and never told anybody. I was literally dying on the inside and told nobody. And nobody would have been supportive except for my mother. There were times where I didn't want to live anymore. And I don't want another child to have to go through that simply because they're gay or bisexual or trans. And you shouldn't want that either. You shouldn't want the children going through pain because they can't express who they are. And if you're a parent out there who would abandon your child, abuse your child, or do anything bad to your child simply because they're LGBTQ, then you're a terrible human being. And you're just the same as that fascist sitting there in that picture. Donald Trump hates the LGBTQ community. He wants to eradicate us. He wants to get rid of us as in general and make sure we no longer exist. And we cannot allow that to happen. Now, I don't know what the future holds with Donald Trump. I really don't. I hope to God he doesn't become the next president. Hope to God nobody like him becomes the next president. But I can make it very clear. I'll make one thing extremely clear, that I am here, I am queer, and I ain't going anywhere. I know I physically can't do much, but I will fight the best I can until my very last breath to protect trans and LGBTQ youth in this country. I don't know what I can do to help, but if you're out there watching this and you know how I could help, please link me some information. I physically can't do much, but I can lend my voice. I can lend my experience that I've lived through. Because all I want to do is help LGBTQ youth feel like they belong, feel like they're okay to be who they are, and to protect them from being outed to their parents who might otherwise be abusive to them or disown them. Because I'm so sad every time I hear about another kid unaliving themselves because they were gay, because their family didn't support them, because their schools allowed them to be abused and bullied for being who they were. Anyways, I'll see you down the road.